Hello, everybody. C. Ray Brower here with Finding Your Perfect Place, and we'll talk about why I said it that way a little bit later on. We've got Michelle Johnson with the Hero Loan Team. We're going to have a great discussion today, and that'll be coming up next. All right, and we are back. So how's it going today, Michelle?
Well, it's going really good. Can't complain. A little bit cooler here than it is usually, which is nice for this time of year. It's really great weather. So happy about
I
that.
I actually took off this morning to have a meeting with a new title company that moved into the area and the title rep, and walked outside, and it was drizzling.
Ooh, not this time of year, not usually.
Yeah, just it wasn't bad, just enough to kind of dampen the pavement, and then I don't know, 10 blocks away it was clear again. So still a little
At least
cloudy and
brought the
overcast, but
cool
it's
air in a bit, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. So anything new and exciting in your life?
Not really. Just the same
Same
old
old,
thing,
same old.
trying to help people out and stay afloat and all that stuff.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, there's a little bit that's happened since the last time we talked this weekend. Got my daughter married, so we
Oh,
spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
congratulations.
and the politically correct way to say it is the Olympic Valley,
Oh.
but Squaw Valley is the old
Oh,
ski
yes.
resort.
Right. Yeah.
I have now changed it to Olympic Valley to be politically correct.
Yes.
Which is, it was a beautiful, beautiful weekend leading up to it. The 2 weeks, my wife is watching the weather report, and one day it's going to rain, and the
It
next day
was
it's cloudy.
outside.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
always nervous. I got married outside too, and it's like, oh, is it gonna rain? And it was raining like a part of the day, so it's like, oh no. So
yeah, well, our daughter and son-in-law now
that's
went up,
great.
um, what was it, 5 weeks ago, and the snow was up to the second story.
Oh no. You're like,
But snow at base level was gone.
Oh,
Was
good.
still beautiful up on the mountains, and just a beautiful, beautiful occasion. We had a great time for
Oh,
4 days.
that's
So
wonderful.
yeah, that was pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
I just became a certified AI certified real estate agent, one of the first 200 in the world. The only one in San Joaquin County,
Oh,
which is kind of a neat thing. I've always been kind of geeky, so
that's great.
it's amazing
Yeah.
what it has the ability to do, and how it is going to free my time up, so I'll be able to spend a lot more time with my clients.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that you got a couple days off because as a real estate agent and mortgage broker, kind of we're always on call. So,
Oh, I, I, I always wear the Bluetooth headset,
right.
and
Yeah,
it's just part of my head, right? I
that's
didn't even
right.
think anything about it, and um, middle of the evening on the second day, after the wedding part of the reception, I got introduced to somebody I hadn't met yet, because there's 120 people there. You can't meet everybody in one time. And
Right.
he says, "Oh, you're father of the bride?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Man, I've been watching you. I thought you were security."
He's like trying not to do anything around
Yeah.
you. Well, he'd double as security, being the father of the bride.
Exactly.
That's fun. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
funny.
we did. We had a great time. It was wonderful. So,
Good.
and
That's
then
wonderful.
you noticed I introduced it when I said, find your perfect place. That is, I've been certified as a commercial agent for a while, but I
Oh,
got invited back into BNI, and
okay.
BNI is one person per category, and you can split categories, but I hadn't found a group that would allow the category to be split for real estate agent, and finally found one that allowed me to come in as a commercial agent. I helped the director, her partner, buy a commercial building last month, and he said, hey, this group would accept you in as a commercial realtor, so here I
Might
am.
as well. That's wonderful. Well, the commercial market's lucky to have you, Ray. That's for sure.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I thought maybe today we'd just go over kind of a few things that the Hero Loan team did, kind of give everybody a overview of what it is that you guys do. So to kind of kick things off a little bit, what is it that a Hero Loan is, and how does it differ from a regular loan?
Yeah, that's a really good question because oftentimes people are thinking that it's a hero loan. And the reality is that we have over 200 different programs. And so they kind of pair with a loan you might be more familiar with, such as like your VA loans, your FHA loans, conventional loans, and USDA loans, which we know are a very minimal part of the market.
Except in
But
my area, we got quite a bit actually.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
lot of little towns around here where we do
Yeah,
quite a
yeah.
few
Well,
USDA.
yeah, there's places that can be, but then there's a very small margin of people who kind of qualify, but that's neither here nor there, right?
Right.
So regardless, you get those types of loans still with Hero Loan Team. But on top of the loan that you're getting, that's when we have programs, incentives, specials that help to give you a little bit more of a leg up on the market. So right off the bat, if you qualify in one of our 5 hero categories, which is law enforcement, any employee within any branch, firefighters, same deal there, military, both active duty and veterans, education, so not just teachers and professors, but everybody working for a school district or university, and medical. So, and medical is very expansive as well, not just your, power positions, doctors, nurses, but everybody who's helping those doctors and nurses to achieve that goal. So, whether you're an administrative or you're client facing, we would also have programs in that area.
Wow. Well, now see
Yeah.
that I learned something. So the janitor qualifies for
Right.
the
Administrative. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it will just depend. Some of our programs are very specific to just a physician's program, or maybe they're only for first responders. And then we have others that are the entire medical field or the entire educational field. And so that's why it's like not a one size fits all hero loan, which some people think, well, what's the name of it? Hero loan. And then they're looking that up or kind of thing. But really, it's more lots of different programs. So every person is treated individually as far as what category do you fall in as a hero, and then what are your specific needs? Do you need some assistance with down payment, or would you be more successful with a rate concession, and what is available on the market for you, and then also kind of get able to give you side-by-side comparisons between what you might think is going to work best and then what might actually work best and have less negative side effects or things like that. So that's kind of the way it works, is it pairs with, but every one of our hero client will not pay any lender fees. So they won't be paying that loan origination, loan processing, underwriting, whatever those fees are with other lenders. They don't pay them with Hero Loan Team as our give back to the community.
Very, very cool. So yeah, I learned something. Like I said, I thought education was the teachers and the principals, which of course is administration, but you said anybody that's in the education system. So the janitor, the gardener that works for the school
lunch
district.
director. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cafeteria help. My aunt did that forever. She worked the cafeteria, and then a really, really good friend of mine's mom that's what she did. She worked in the cafeteria from the time, God, I don't even know when she started, but she retired when she was 76 or 78.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is they work very, very hard. They're a big part of the educational system. And why would we exclude them? The teachers, the professors, they're not doing these things alone. You
Right.
know, they have a whole support team and staff, and we don't want to exclude those people just because they're not at the top of the list kind of thing. And not so much with teachers because we all know we don't pay our teachers nearly enough, but in the medical field, when you get to physicians, you get to like nurses, especially when you get into the higher paid nurses, they're not always the ones who really need the help, but
Right.
it's the
Right.
the support staff that's really like what can we do here. So.
Right. And it was long before I was in real estate, but I remember that there were programs that were for medical, but you had to be a registered nurse or you had to be an MD. If you were an LVN, you didn't qualify.
Right. Or CNA. Right. Yeah,
or CNA,
exactly.
yeah.
When they're really out there, they're doing really hard work. They're really there for patients, and that's why we really want to make sure that we include them. Like I said, some of the programs are going to be physicians only. That's right. The way that it is, but not all of them are, and we have ways to help other people as well.
Of course, that always bothers me when you start putting things down like that, especially with the political atmosphere that we have right now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So it's just always nice to have a lot of options and to be really inclusive because so many times heroes are a very, very small segment. And for us, that's not the case.
Very cool. Very cool. So you and your team, I know, do some great work helping people. What would be some of the things key strategies that the Hero Loan Team uses and employs to help those heroes, those that are serving us?
Right, absolutely. So again, I'll say we don't charge our lender fees. That's a big part of it because that saves a couple $1,000s just right off the bat of closing costs. And who isn't thinking about how much money am I going to have to come out of pocket when I'm buying a home? Whether it's down payment, whether it's closing costs, whether it's lender fees, like it all adds up, and any little bit can help. That's a new sofa, or it's that water heater, or whatever it is. And then from there, we really try to listen to our clients. Like, what is it that you really are trying to accomplish in the long run? Because many people will hear of a program here or there out in the market, maybe on the news, Facebook, wherever, and then they'll come to the lender saying, well, hey, do you have this program over here? I heard about it. It can do X, Y, and Z for me. And rather than just looking for that specific program and trying to fit the customer or the client into it, we really are saying, okay, well, like, what did you like about that program? Because maybe that is the right program for you, but maybe it's not. And so we really want to look at, well, what is the fine print? What is going to happen in 2, 3, 10 years from now with whatever program we're assisting you with? And also just really, what is your end game? Because sometimes it may seem like the program that you're talking about is going to get you to this place, like the lowest monthly payment or the lowest rate, whatever it is. And realistically, once we look at everything, it may be something entirely different.
Cool. And so just for the audiences, they're getting ready to start embarking on that journey of being a first-time home buyer. What kind of advice could you give them to help them see which program they may qualify for?
Yeah, so that's a big question. I think the first time home buyer, and you and I have talked about this many times, and I'm sure you talk about it with other people. Like, the best advice that we can give you is to get informed. just talk to a real estate agent, talk to a mortgage broker, and really be aware of the truth of your situation, because there's a lot of information out there from people who bought a house 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, and the market isn't the same. It's not the same even than it was 2 years ago. So we really have to, uh, you need to be educated when you're purchasing a home, and the people who can educate you are the people who are working in the market currently and are up to date with everything that's going on currently. So that's the best thing to do, is to talk to a mortgage broker, talk to a real estate agent, even if you feel like you're a couple years out from purchasing, because a lot of times, like, you may be closer than you think you are, or there are some things you need to do for the next 2 years to set yourself up in a situation to be able to purchase. And just guessing what those things are is not going to be effective for you.
Such is life. If we start planning and doing the steps right now for later, it definitely will always help.
That's right.
Always, yeah.
And one more thing, I'm sure this is more like what a real estate agent will do for you. What Ray can do for you is really, I know what I would like to have is a pool, right by the ocean. I can sit in my hot tub and stare at the waves. Of course, that's the house that I want, and I want it to be huge. So I have 2 spare bedrooms, right? All that. Understanding that is the goal. But I need to get into the housing market wherever I can get into the housing market. All the time we get people who say, well, if this is my scenario, I'll just wait until I get a raise. I'll just wait until housing prices drop. I'll just wait until interest rates drop. And the truth of the matter is that, at least historically in California, you're not going to get a raise that's higher than the increase of home prices. The interest rates are not going to drop low enough to make it a better situation for you to purchase. Like, you need to get into a home whenever you can afford that monthly payment, because rent just keeps going up, your mortgage stays the same, and then as you build equity, you can grow into your next home, and eventually be overlooking the water in your hot tub, or whatever your personal dream is.
Whatever your personal thing is, yeah. And that brings up a point. You sent me the article, and of course I have the article also, and I've been saying it forever. The bubble burst was the bubble burst, and it was caused by poor practices in the industry they were legal. It was at the time, it was what was being allowed. The guidelines had changed, and unfortunately, it was marketed to people in the wrong way.
Yes,
we had a super buyer's market, and yet they were buying houses and bidding them up, and prices were inflating at such a tremendous rate. It was like it was the seller's market that we were just recently in. And that article, of course, said good news. House prices didn't drop as much as expected, because all of the media, all of the stuff was saying, oh my God, interest rates have gone up and house prices are going to drop 10, 15, 20%. And what did we end up with? I think the average is maybe 2, 3, maybe 1.5, depending on which market you're in. I mean, San Francisco, LA, I'm sure they were 3 to 5. Here, probably about 1.5%.
Yeah. Right.
Middle USA probably didn't hardly be a noticeable amount. Period,
if not raise there. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And,
that's absolutely
and they're starting back up now. And are they? What are you telling me over here? I'm plugged in.
Looks good
Save
over
my
here. I don't
battery.
know.
Save my battery. Wait a minute, my battery isn't on.
Uh-oh.
It's not
Uh-oh.
supposed to be anyway. Oh my Lord. Okay, if we go blank, everybody, it's my battery went dead. But I've said all along that we are not going to see any appreciable drop in the price of houses until we have that inventory that we had right before the bubble burst. And with lending practices and guidelines now, we're never going to have a bubble burst. That's not going to happen again. And everybody's always listening to that propaganda.
Yeah,
Hate to say it, but it's propaganda.
It is.
It really is. So we dropped 1.5% to 3%, and we're already up 1% just in the last couple of months. And yeah, interest rates have still kind of doing this. We'll be doing that, I'm sure, for a little while, at least until early 2024.
Yeah.
And then I bet they start coming down just so that.
Right. And
Look
I mean,
what
you
we
make
did.
a good point there too, is like, well, then shouldn't I wait until 2024 until those rates maybe go down? Like, absolutely not. And what you always say is that if they stay the same, then you're building equity, you're good to go. Right.
Yeah.
If they get lower, you can always refinance. And if they get higher, then thankfully you got in the market before they went up. So it's either way, like if you can get into a home, you can afford that monthly payment, even if it's a little more than what you're paying for rent. Eventually, you're going to be paying less than what everyone else is paying for rent because your mortgage does not go up, but their rent does.
Yeah.
So it's always a good time if you can afford it, and adjusting expectations on the first home is a really good idea.
There you go. Just make sure that what you're buying is affordable, and it might be a stretch. It might even be a stretch.
Right. Exactly.
In the very beginning.
Right.
Yes, you may have to give up that new car. You may have to buy an old beater, you know, at first. But suddenly, 3 years down the road, you've built, well, I mean, I've got clients that bought at the beginning of COVID that are up 25, 30%. Is that normal? No, that's not normal. That's not normal. We're now starting to see normal appreciation at 3 to 5, 6% a year, and 3 to 5 to 6% a year on $400,000 in 3 years is $40,000 in equity.
That's right. And then that can become your new down payment for your next home. Because I think, I mean, obviously they don't teach us about finances and equity and purchasing homes in school. But like, that's what that looks like when I have equity in a home. Then when I sell my home, that equity becomes my down payment. So now I don't have to save up $40,000. I actually did that just by paying rent, but it's my mortgage instead. So instead of throwing it away, I'm putting it kind of in my home's savings account kind of thing, and it's growing in value, but it's also decreasing in the amount that I owe. And you know, if I'm okay living there for a few years, and depends on what the market does. But that's another great thing about the market right now is that in most cases you're not paying over asking, and that is a lot of that, like housing prices coming down, is that they're really just becoming what they should be instead of this inflated sense of like, oh, I need to pay $500 over in cash, or sorry, $50,000 over in cash than what my approval allows. And that's not a down payment, you know, like that's just gone, you know? And so if we wait and like, then interest rates are a little bit lower and everyone else is buying, you're going to be in that market again. And if you don't have $50,000 to throw away to get your new home, it's really best to buy in a market like today's market.
Yeah. I have helped a good friend of mine's son and his future wife. At that point, they were engaged when they actually bought. But we found the perfect home for him. He wanted RV parking. He's got lots of toys and wanted RV parking. And we'd looked at a few places, and he was ready to kind of just settle and not get. And we found a place that actually had RV parking on both sides.
Oh my gosh.
On both sides.
Get another one.
Yeah, right. And so Well, toys more than RVs. I mean, he does have a toy hauler, but he's got lots of toys. Big mechanic guy, and he's got lots of stuff. But when we were looking at the house, it was priced just over what the comps would say the house was worth, right? Mm-hmm. And they had an offer at asking, and I said, what do you want to do? He said, well, I don't want to pay more than it's worth. I said, the thing that you've got to realize is that the way that the comparative market analysis is done is it's looking at history 6 months back.
Yeah.
You're really looking at what happened 6 months ago. It isn't anything about what's going to happen in the future. And if you buy the house if it appraises, and the way things are today, it will appraise. So you're going to pay $5,000 over asking. Sure. You're going to get the house, and you know what's going to happen in this neighborhood? That guy right over there and that guy right over there, they're going to come over and pat you on the back and say, thank you, brother. You just raised the price of my house.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. The market is the market, and the true value of anything, I don't care whether it's a house, a car, a fish, it doesn't matter what it is. The true value of anything is what a ready, willing, and able seller is willing to sell it for, and a ready, willing, and able buyer will pay for it.
That's correct. That's right.
That's it.
Doesn't matter what anybody else says. It's like, will this be sold or not?
Is it what you want, and are you willing to pay that amount of money for it? Because today, it does say my battery is running low. Oh, I see. It didn't lie. My cat's been up here. There we go. We're safe. We almost went away, people.
Perfect timing.
I couldn't figure that out until it come up and said your battery really is low.
It's like, really? I'm not kidding.
I'm going to shut down now.
Yeah. Good thing you caught it. I hate it when that happens.
Well, cats. I think one time when we were on my Fat Jack, I call him now, we rescued a couple of cats out of the park, Jack and Jill. Jill was up the hill in the tree, and Jack was down on the ground, and we brought them home, and they were about 8 weeks old, and we've raised them. Jack's got big. He's now Fat Jack. But I think one time he came up and got up here and was chasing the mouse. So I think it was you. It might have not been you. I don't know. He likes it on the desk. And since we were gone, the computer wasn't here because, of course, yes, I was there. But, of course, yes, I did actually do a little bit of work. And, yes, I got a new deal while I was on vacation. Got me down to Marietta deal.
4 days off, but that's not surprising. Like I said, always on call. Always on call as a real estate agent.
Yeah, it isn't ever a true completely disconnect.
That's right.
That's right. There was very, very long periods of time that I was disconnected. So
yeah, which is good. Yeah.
Well, very good, Michelle. Always, it's a pleasure having you on.
It's always a pleasure for me to be here and be able to speak with you. Like, you always have such a fresh and good perspective, and yeah, it's always an easy conversation. Sometimes these things are like, it's really a push, but it never is with you.
Well, thank you so much. I have been on a couple of those where the interviewer had a little bit of stress related to his whole presentation, and I'm just not that guy.
No. Yeah.
Everybody, Michelle's information has been scrolling down below. If any of you need anything involved in anything, first responder, police, fire, education, medical, and janitors at our education, and janitors at the hospital, all the support staff, they can help you. Everything in between, and even those that aren't, they will help you Again, all of her information is scrolling down below. Michelle with the Hero Loan Team, thank you so much for being on. And everybody, you remember C-Ray to find your perfect place or your perfect home or your perfect business spot, because that's what I do. You go out and be the sunshine in somebody's rainy day, and we will